Hey, what is going on guys, RvzStealth here, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down 5 of the strongest team compositions for teamfight tactics for patch 9.18. So to start things off here, the first composition, your end goal is going to be 6 Blademaster and 4 Gunslinger. Now you actually don't want to be going for a ton of Blademasters in the early game. You still want to pick up the Blademasters, but how you want to roll in the early game usually with this comp is you want to grab the Pirate bonus, and you also want to grab the 4 Gunslinger bonus. So you can do this by grabbing the Graves, the Pike, and the Twisted Fate early on. If you can do that, get a very early Pirate bonus, you're just going to be able to generate a lot of gold throughout the early to mid game. Always be looking out for your Blademasters though. Even if you're not putting in your Blademasters, you still want to look out for like the Camille, the Shen, the Aatrox there, because once you do reach the late game, you are going to need them for that 6th Blademaster. Now it is pretty vital that you do end up getting a Blade the Ruined King, and ideally putting it on Lucian. You could also look to put it on Graves, but by getting this Blade the Ruined King, it allows you to run the 6th Blademaster and the 4 Gunslinger. If you can't find the Blade the Ruined King, then you kind of have to run 6 Blademaster with the Fiora, and then you can't run 4 Gunslinger. You can only run 3 Gunslinger unless you do end up going like super late into the game or something like that. So you do want to make sure you are grabbing your Blade the Ruined King there. It just makes the composition work a lot more smoothly. And then up until you do find your Yasuo, you can run the Fiora, so you do have the 6th Blademaster. Yasuo, some games you're not going to find him at all, and that's just the luck of the game, so you can just be running there with your Fiora, but obviously look out for your Yasuo. If you can get him, you do want to put him in. And then itemization for this comp, the only item you really need is that Bork on Lucian. Other than that, you can look to grab a red buff on your Graves, that's very strong. Red buff on your Gangplank, also super good. Guardian Angel on both those 2 champions is great as well. And then if you want to buff up your Jinx, if you end up getting like a 2-star Jinx or something and buffing her up, that's also a pretty good option as well. Alright, so moving on to the second composition, it's going to be 6 Assassin and 3 Void. This is going to be one of the most consistent and easiest to execute comps for this patch. Super consistent because you don't even need higher than a level 3 champion in order to make this comp work. If you do find your Akali in the later game, obviously put her in for Zed, but you can roll with the Zed in the late game and still have that 6 Assassin and 3 Void. So how you're going to want to play this comp is throughout the early game, either grab an early Assassin bonus or grab an early Void bonus. It pretty much all depends on what you do end up rolling into. So if you roll your Kha'Zix, your Kassadin, and your Rek'Sai, run with the Void. If you roll Zed, Pike, and Kha'Zix, run with the Assassin. Once you do hit the mid game, you do want to have the 3 Void and 3 Assassin, and then later on in the game, look out for your Akali, grab the Evelynn, grab the Rengar, and you're gonna have your 6 Assassin, 3 Void there. So it's just super simple to use this composition. There's no difficult transitioning in the mid game or anything like that. You're pretty much just gonna be looking out for a select few champions that you need for each and every single game. So I think this is a great comp, especially for beginners. And then for itemization for this comp, similar to the last one, you are somewhat reliant on grabbing a spatula, putting that on your Kassadin, making him into Assassin there with the Youmuu's. If you do this, it's just gonna allow you to hit your 3 Void 6 Assassin a lot quicker, and it is gonna make the mid to late game much stronger if you do find that Youmuu's. So always be looking out for that there. The comp can still work without the Youmuu's, but it's definitely going to come online a little bit later on into the game, and you're definitely not going to have as much success with it. Itemization for other champions, you can grab the rapid fire cannon on the Kassadin there. Look to buff up your Pike with a Morello, that's always strong. Also grab a frozen heart on him, which just got buffed in this patch. You can also look to put items on Evelynn, but I would just be trying to prioritize your Kassadin and your Pike there for 9.18. So for the third composition, it is going to be a ranger focused comp. So the 4 rangers there is the key to the composition, and then for the rest of the pieces, it is going to depend on how the game is going, what you do end up rolling into. You can look to run 4 knights with this comp, that is going to be pretty consistent. You can also look to run 4 glacial if you do end up finding a spatula and getting a frozen mallet. But for the early game with this comp, you do want to grab the Mord, the Garen, along with the Vayne there. You can also look to grab like a Fiora, so you can get the noble and the knight bonus early on. Throughout the mid game, you want to be looking out for your Varus and your Ashe, and then you want to be grabbing the Kindred as early as possible there. Once you get the Kindred, the comp does really start to come online. Later on in the game, like I said, it's going to depend on what you do roll into, but you can look to go for a Guardian bonus there with the Leona and the Pantheon. You want to be grabbing the Sejuani ideally, so you can get the 2 Glacial with the Ashe. If you do end up finding a Braum, then you can run the Braum there instead of the Pantheon, and you can put like a Frozen Mallet on your Varus or a Frozen Mallet on your Vayne so that you can grab the 4 Glacial. So you should be switching like the pieces to this composition up pretty much every single game you do play. The only thing that's going to be set in stone is your 4 Rangers. And then item prioritization for this comp, I'd be looking to buff up your Ashe or your Varus with Rageblade, Hush. You can also grab a Rudens on them. Also a Frozen Mallet on your Varus there as well can be very strong to grab the Glacial, to grab the 4 Glacial later on. Buffing up your Sedge is pretty good as well. The Morel Nomicon is super good on her, along with the Guardian Angel. So those are the 3 champions I would be looking to prioritize the most. Alright, so for this next composition, it is going to be arguably the strongest one that you can run for 9.18, and it's going to be 3 Sorcerer, 3 Shapeshifter, and 3 Yordle. So with this composition, you do have the luxury of running 3 of the strongest standalone units in the game at the moment, being Gnar, Shyvana, and Swain. If you're able to get to those 3 units and you reach the mid to late game there, then you're almost guaranteed to at least place like top 4. You're going to place top 4 if you do get to those units, if not higher every single game. So it's just a very strong composition if you're able to put all the pieces together. Now for the early game with this comp, there's a lot of different options that you can run. You can run the 3 Shapeshifter there to start it off with your Nidalee, your Elise, and your Jace. As you do reach the mid game and you find your Shyvana and you find your Gnar, then swap them in there for the Elise and the Jace. Look out for your Ahri, your Lulu, and your Poppy. You can also run Veigar with this composition as well if you would like to. Later on in the game, the Swain and the Aurelion Soul are key for this comp. Instead of the Aurelion Soul, you can end up running something else for your Sorcerer there, but Aurelion Soul is going to be ideal because then you can grab the Dragon bonus as well along with the Shyvana there, and just makes the comp that much better. So ideally you do want to grab Aurelion Soul for later on in the game. Now for your itemization with this comp, you can look to make Aurelion Soul a demon because number 1, you do get the 2 demon bonus, and then number 2, it does allow him to charge up his ability faster, his ultimate, so that he can get those off more often. So demon bonus on Aurelion Soul is very strong with this comp. You can also put a Rageblade on him, Spear of Sojin. Shyvana and Swain are both very good with Warmogs along with Guardian Angels. You can also grab a Rageblade on your Shyvana, grab a Morello on your Swain, but those are the 3 champions there I would be looking to buff up. And then lastly here, the 5th composition to round it all out is going to be a variation of the last comp, and it's going to be 6 Shapeshifter. So with this composition here, you are more so reliant on getting your Swain later on in the game, because if you don't reach him, you're not going to be able to get your 6 Shapeshifter. So it's a little bit more risky to run than the previous composition. Running the previous comp there of the 3 Shapeshifter, 3 Yordle, and 3 Sorcerer is going to be one that you don't need the Swain for. You don't need him for the 3 Shapeshifter there. You can always run somebody else for your Shapeshifter, so this one is a bit more risky to run for sure, but if you are able to get to it, if you're able to reach your Swain and get that 6 Shapeshifter, then this composition is a very strong one for this patch. So for how you should be looking to run this composition, you do want to be looking out for Shapeshifters. Pick up your Shapeshifters whenever you find them, but ideally you don't want to be placing in like 4 or 5 Shapeshifters until you are able to find your Swain. So before you find your Swain, you want to run with your 3 best Shapeshifters, whichever those are. So if you're able to get your Shyvana, your Gnar, and your Nidalee, those are the 3 that I'd usually run until you do end up finding your Swain. Obviously always be looking for your Shapeshifters, so grab your Elise, grab your Jace there as well, but you do want to be trying to grab another bonus as well until you get to your Swain. So you can run 3 Shapeshifter, 3 Yordle there, you can grab a Lulu, a Poppy, and a Gnar, and that can give you a pretty good mid game. If you just end up tunneling on going Shapeshifter and you go like 4 or 5 Shapeshifter, you're not looking for any other bonus at all, then it is gonna probably put you in a pretty bad spot in the mid game, and you might not even be able to reach your 6 Shapeshifter. So once you do end up finding your Swain there, you put him in, you grab the 6 Shapeshifter. You can also put the Aurelion Soul in there, so you can grab the Dragon bonus with your Shyvana, and then what you did with the last composition, you can do with this comp as well. You can look to put the Demon there on the Aurelion Soul, so you can get 2 Demon with the Swain and the Soul, and the Demon bonus there is going to be great on Soul. Itemization is pretty much going to be the exact same as the previous comp there. Soul, Shyvana, and Swain are going to be the 3 that I would be looking to prioritize the most. Alright, so that is going to be it for this video, guys. Those are 4 of the strongest compositions that you can run right now if you are looking to win in ranked for Teamfight Tactics. If you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.